Hello, boys and girls. I'm so glad you could join me again here at Granny's Place. I've chosen some books today that reminded me of summer, so I hope you will settle in and enjoy them as much as I did. The first book we have today is called Flocks of Birds. This book is by Charlotte Zoloto and illustrated by Ruth Bornstein. The little girl was already in bed, and her mother had kissed her good night. "But I'm not sleepy," the little girl said. "Lie here in the dark," said her mother, "and think your thoughts until you are sleepy." "Give me something good to think about," the little girl said, holding her mother's hand. "Think of flocks of birds," her mother said. "Close your eyes and think of flocks of birds flying south." "What shall I think about them?" the little girl asked. "Oh," said her mother, "think of a dark meadow in the mountains far away. The long black grass is filled with sleeping birds. Think of the early morning light beginning, and as the mist rises from the marsh, the birds begin to stir. By ones, by twos, by threes, the birds rise up, circling above the meadow and the marsh. There is only one cry from one bird as they begin their flight across the mountain, over the valleys, over the ocean far below. Think of the sun, which suddenly comes through the clouds like a pale orange ball. The birds fly over the water, over the silvery sand, over the city where people are hurrying through the autumn wind on their way to work. They fly on over towns where the littlest children swinging on swings in the early morning tilt their heads backward and see the birds high above them in the sky. Through the morning, through the afternoon, they fly over country fields bright with goldenrod, over farms nestling in the Browning Hills. Now a school bus empties out the children on a dusty lane, and high above the birds are flying, flying. They fly over mountains where the trees are yellow and crimson and brown, and only the pines are green. They pass over rivers where the boats cut choppy little white-edged waves into the windy water. And as the long afternoon light begins to lengthen, they fly across a hazy white shape. That is the late afternoon moon. They fly through the long purple and pink clouds of the sunset and through the gathering blackness of the night. In the town far below them, lights go on like little stars in kitchen and living room windows. No one hears the sound of the birds passing high above the dark sky. They fly across the huge harvest moon and over lakes where the water is like a pool of black ink holding the moon's reflection. And two deer stand side by side, drinking at the water's edge. And the birds fly on and on over another small town where the houses are dark and little girls like you are sleeping, dreaming of lovely things. Like flocks of birds flying through the night in the fall. And there she is asleep. The end. The next book is called The Big Book of the Outdoors by Eloise Wilkin. Did you know that the woods can tell that spring is coming before the snow is gone? The sleeping plants send up green shoots and the tree buds swell and open. Did you know that some seeds have wings and some have silken parachutes? Some seeds are hidden away in fruits, and that every seed, no matter how tiny, has a whole tiny plant inside with food to use when it starts to grow. Did you know that tiny coral animals under the sea, which never move, build big towers and islands of their tiny shells? Did you know that in the dry desert, some plants have thick stems in which they store water and lots of prickly spines to keep thirsty animals from eating them up? And the kangaroo rat, who lives in the desert, never drinks water, but makes it in its body out of crisp, dry seeds. Did you know that the beaver can chew through a young tree in just a few minutes? He bites off the branches and uses them to build a dam across a stream. And all the birds around, and the squirrels and the opossums, the rabbits and the chipmunks, the deer and the moose, enjoy that beaver pond. Did you know that far up north in the land of ice and snow we call the Arctic, animals have winter coats of fur as white as the snow? Did you know that some birds fly thousands of miles over ocean and land and then come back to the same special spots to lay their eggs? And that salmon swim hundreds of miles to shore and far up the rivers and over the waterfalls to come back to their special spots to lay their eggs. Did you know that fireflies have lights in their bodies? They can flash them on and off. And that crickets chirp by rubbing their wings together. Did you know that some fish in the deep dark ocean have little lights along their sides or dangling in front of their noses? Did you know that out in the pond, smooth, wiggly tadpoles lose their tails and grow legs and turn into frogs? And that Fuzzy caterpillars weave silken cocoons around themselves and go to sleep. Then they wake up as pretty moths or butterflies. And did you know that all of nature's wonders are everywhere around you in the big outdoors? The end. Well, I want to thank you all again for coming to Granny's Place. Please tell your friends if they like stories. Please have them subscribe to my channel and join us. Okay, well, you guys have a wonderful day or night, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.